evening, everyone, and welcome to the last DEI committee meeting of the year. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to start off by calling this meeting to order. So I will need a motion for a call to order. Mr. Lassiter, I see you, Mr. Lassiter, and I see Maxine. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And minutes were sent out prior to our meeting this evening. So everyone should have received the minutes and had an opportunity to review them. So I am going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting. Elizabeth and Nina, thank you both so much. All right, so we'll get started with our agenda items. So we're going to start with new member introduction. So I didn't know if we wanted to do it popcorn style where I just pick someone and then someone picks someone else that's new, but I don't know if everyone, Dr. Wiles, knows who's new. So I didn't know if you wanted to call on folks.
Well, sure, I can do that. In our agenda today, there actually are new welcoming participants, are members of this committee who were appointed at the last board meeting. I have them kind of in order, so I'll call on that group. And here's the idea. We would just love to hear from each of you, your name and your role within our greater Guilderland school community. And then just a sentence about why it is that you wanted to serve on this committee. And so, Emma, where are you, Emma? I'm going to start with you. How's that?
All right, that's fine. Hi, I'm Emma Drellinger. I am a reading specialist at Pine Bush Elementary School. This is my second year as a reading specialist, and then I did 2 other years as an English as a new language teacher at Pine Bush as well. I love teaching and I love Guilderland, and I'm super excited to be part of this committee. One of the reasons why I wanted to join this committee is because I am on Pine Bush's diversity committee, and it's been really nice to do that in a smaller group setting. Focus on Pine Bush and how we can make Pine Bush a more diverse and inclusive and equitable place. But I am looking forward to working with a wider range of people, a more diverse group of people, and taking a good look at what the district is doing and how we can collaborate with the district as well.
Emma, that was perfect. You are a great role model for exactly how these introductions should go. So Thank you for that, and welcome to the committee, and congratulations for being accepted. And parent Suzanne is next.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Kawola. I am a parent in the Altamont Elementary School to a 3rd and 5th grader now for next year. So my interest in joining the DEI committee is multiple, but I will nutshell it with the work that I'm doing now in my professional life is centered on the marginalization of low-wage care workers and how they mitigate the work-family relationship. So I'm a doctoral candidate over at UAlbany in the sociology department. So that what I hope to bring to the DEI committee is 2 things. One, my working knowledge of, how diversity is framed and defined, and that practiced ability to tease out nuances. That's what sociologists do, right? Find all of the various nuances. So that's one. And then the second thing would be looking specifically at how parents and teachers and administrators and everyone involved in the school district, how their work-family relationship is set up, right? Because that's part of their school activity, right? What's going on in their family life, we know that. So because my research focus is pointed on that, and because I have a working knowledge of how diversity is framed, and that's it. Too long, sorry, that was 4 sentences. Thank you.
That's all right. You're a PhD student, so we understand where you're coming from.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie.
We also welcome Suzanne. We're glad you're a
Thank
part
you.
of the group.
Yes. Thank you. Welcome, Emma, too.
Thank you. Next is Beth Martinez.
Good evening, everyone. Beth Martinez. My pronouns are she, her. I am here as a parent from the community. I will have a kindergartner and a second grader next year at Westmere, which is a really diverse, I believe like one of the most diverse elementary schools in the district. And I think we should be capitalizing more off of that and incorporating more from our families into our school, and finding ways to bring that multiculturalism into our district and into our school. So I'm hoping to kind of brainstorm more ways with the community and the committee to see how we can do that at a greater level. Like Suzanne, I do this in my professional work as well. I'm an education director for a civil rights nonprofit organization, and I do trainings for students and teachers around anti-bias concepts. So I'm hoping I can also share my knowledge and my expertise in that field, in whatever way possible to give back to the community. So that's what brings me here.
Thank you so much, Beth. Now we have the first of 4 new students who will be joining the committee. And Shreya, you get to go first.
Hi, I'm Shreya. I'm a student, and I'll be a junior next year at GHS. So like last year, I did the anti-hate rally, and I really liked it. So this year, I tried the Student Voice Club, and it had a very significant impact, and I really liked the work that we were doing. So I thought that like by joining this committee, I could help improve our school because it really has potential to improve, to make it more inclusive and diverse for all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya. We look forward to your growing leadership on this committee. The next student is Rachel Otter.
Hi, I'm Rachel Otter. I'm a student at FMS, and I'm going into 8th grade next year. A reason why I wanted to join the committee is because I want to make Gilsland a safe environment and a happy environment for everyone around us. I'm also a founding leader of a cinema club at FMS, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, Rachel, we're happy that you're part of our team, so welcome very much. Varshini, you're next.
Hi, I'm Varshini. I'm an upcoming senior at GHS. I'm co-founder and co-president of Asian Student Union, which has been running for a year now. And the reason I wanted to join the DEI committee was to bring in ideas from my members in Asian Student Union so you guys are aware of what our students are thinking, and then also bring in whatever you guys are doing to ASU and hopefully collaborate in that way. And also, I just want to bring more attention to collaborating activist clubs in our school and having more opportunities for us to come together at GHS and just make GHS a more inclusive place overall.
Well, we're so happy to have you as part of our team, and those are some great goals to have for next year. So welcome. Noah Kaufman, you're next.
Hi, I'm Noah Kaufman. I'm an upcoming senior. I have far less professional experience than so many other people that have spoken. But I really just wanted to join to be a voice for people from my background and whatever, and to give a voice to other students just in means of support and to hopefully make a difference. I don't do a lot of the activism clubs at the high school. I'm very involved with my school's film club. I'm the president of it. But I like to, in my free time, help to make the world a more inclusive place for everybody.
That sounds like a wonderful endeavor for your free time. So welcome, Noah. And we have 2 community members who are joining the group. And the first is Shaka Bedgood.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaka Bedgood. I have a second grader, soon to be third grader at Westmere. So Beth, I was all going like this in the background, but haven't been in Guilderland. It's been almost a year, but it's been a great place for my daughter, and she loves it here. And we love the Westmere environment and the school district as a whole. And like a lot of the other new members, I am also fortunate to be able to do this in my professional career for the last 15 years, working in child welfare and how this affects child welfare, and now founding and leading the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee at New York State for the Division of Child Care Services, where I work and supervise a statewide program. So I also have a 24-year-old, and this work was not around, 24 years ago to be able to do. And, so many things have happened in our community over the last couple years. And I just really felt like taking this away from just work and really being involved in our community and making our community and our children the best that they can be, because they're our future. So everything that we do, we should be doing for them. So I'm very excited to be here and be part of this group and to further the work. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Shaka. We're happy to have you as part of our group. And last but not least, Tamika, you're on.
Thank you so much, Marie. So I am joining you today. My name is Tamika Collada Robinson, pronouns she and her. I am joining you as a parent and a proud Guilderland community member as over 20 years. And so I do have 3 children, one that has graduated her, through the Guilderland school system. She graduated in 2021. And she is now a 3rd-year student at HBCU Hampton University. I also have an 11-year-old 6th grader at Farmsworth, and I do have a 1st grader, Evan, who attends Pine Bush Elementary. So I am a proud mom. I am I have my background is in health care. And I have been with the New York State Department of Health for well over 14 years. I have an extremely diverse background in management coordination and program leadership. My primary focus at the health department is through health equity initiatives. Currently, I work with the Health Equity and Community Engagement Bureau, and I oversee my own program. And so anything involving diversity, equity, inclusion, I have been involved in for well over 14 years. And so when this opportunity arose and I saw it through a slew of junk mail in my inbox, I said, that's me. So here I am. I applied, you accepted, and I'm just happy to be here and can't wait to do a lot of great things in this community moving forward. Thanks.
Welcome, Tamika. Shaka, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to make a quick comment that I meant to make before I started. I was just thinking about Noah, what you said about media, and that is definitely, you may not feel that that's like DEI related, but there is a lot of change and good things that have happened from film and media and the like. So you keep doing what you're doing and sharing that with everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to make some of those impacts in some of the stuff that I write and make too. So thank you.
Well, welcome all. We're so delighted, first of all, about your interest in serving on this committee and you being here with us tonight to kind of kick off the start of the next school year. So glad to welcome all of you, hear a little bit about your story and your reasons for wanting to serve, and we look forward to great things coming ahead. All right, Tibisai, I'm sending it back to you.
So I might be volleying it back right to you, Marie, because the next agenda item is the draft 2023-2024 meeting calendar.
Okay, you're right. You're live. You volleyed it right back to me. And this is an information item. We are proposing the following dates that were in your agenda for meeting dates for the 2023-24 school year. Mrs. Sim and I tried to look at the calendar for next year and work around existing Board of Education meetings and other events in the school year to find as consistent a time as we could for this committee to meet. So in the draft that you have, I think we are mostly on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 8:30. The exception is June of 2024, because the Wednesday happens to be Juneteenth when we have a holiday. So if you see, I should just say this about process. We are in the process of putting together our district-wide calendar that includes all of our big events for next year. So board meetings and DEI meetings and concerts and all of those things. So if anyone, when you look at this, sees a dramatic conflict that we need to make a change, please reach out to me or to Mrs. Sim. Otherwise, I will be sending these dates over to the communications service to include on our calendar that goes out to all of our school community members as a way to make more visible when we are meeting, and so people can tune in if they wish to, or view the recordings as such. So that's really all I have to say about the dates, unless anyone sees any immediate conflicts from what was in the agenda packet. Okay, you can put those in your calendar and stay tuned. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So now we're going to move on to reports from our subcommittees. So I'll start off with communications.
That's me, Tibisai. So we met on June 14th. We discussed our goals for the 23-24 school year. These included developing a one-page succinct guide for teachers on cultural observances over the course of the school year. We discussed that we'd need to select which observances to include, and there was a discussion about using potentially demographic data so that this list would be as relevant as possible to our current student body. We really want this list to emphasize digestible, concise, relevant info for the school community. We also discussed potentially adding to the website a mini calendar of events, including things like the subcommittee meetings, fireside chats, and public engagements, etc. We talked about potentially adding some of these observances and events to the school lunch calendar. We also discussed creating a short 2 to 3 minute video covering some of the work that's happened in the district over the last year. So I'm not sure if Mr. P wants to talk about that a little bit later. And lastly, we talked about potentially getting monthly reports from each building about their equity plans and progress, perhaps starting with a spotlight on the members of each team at each building. That's all I got.
That was incredible. So, Matt, go ahead.
Thank you kindly. I'll just chime in on the video, and an excellent job, Rebecca. Much appreciated. The idea of that was really just to make sure that we are doing as good a job as possible communicating the work that we've done in the direction that we're going. Something that we believe really with the purpose of this entire committee is having a sound connection with the community at large. And so that video would just be a way for folks who, may not have the time, surprising to me, but may not have the time to go through and watch, a year's worth of 90-minute meetings. But this would just be a way to be able to say, okay, hey, what are some of the things that we've done and what does that look like? So that's really the thought behind that. But thank you and excellent job, Rebecca.
No, it really sounds awesome. And I couldn't agree more that just finding some joy can really help to reinvigorate all of this work. So thank you for all of that. Beth, I see your hand.
Yes. Can I ask a question about, you mentioned holidays. and information being provided to the community. Is that something that like would be incorporated into like the various with the teachers as well? I'm thinking specifically around Indigenous Peoples Day versus Columbus Day. Something that I noticed as a parent at Westmere is that still the term of Columbus Day is being utilized, and my student was still learning about the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And I would love to really see elementary school move away from teaching about Columbus and moving towards teaching about Indigenous peoples. And I don't know if that's something that's come up here at this committee at all or not, but I just thought I would raise it.
Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you kindly. I'm happy to take this one. So one, excellent question, and I do appreciate you bringing that up. I smiled a little bit because that is something that has definitely been brought up on this committee, and I think for good reason, for exactly what you're saying. So I'm just going to drop in the chat a link to a calendar that we do have currently available on our website. And this is something that is a community resource. So we have a multicultural calendar of observances. This also lists information from when we pull from places like the Anti-Defamation League for this. And also I reached out to staff across the district to say, okay, help us note what's missing so we can improve this calendar and make sure that it's representative of things that like we might be missing. So in this calendar, if you scroll down when we get to October, yes, so we pull from you. So thank you for the calendar. But it's from a number of different areas, but that is one of our foundational points. And so we do have Indigenous Peoples Day there. And this is something that the large one is supposed to be as much as possible an all-inclusive one, with the recognition, and I'll use myself in I language, I absolutely cannot and do not know every cultural observance that is celebrated in our community. But the idea is, and I don't want to get you to U.S. history teacher here, but like, to form a more perfect version of what we're doing. So this one, like, people are always open to like send us, hey, we're including this. And, even from the initial email that went out to staff, there were over a dozen responses of people saying, hey, can we add in this? And the answer each time is yes. So that is just one aspect. The thing that Rebecca was talking about is a one-page guide, and this is specifically for teachers. So the thought process here is there may be certain observances that require students to end up missing school. And so this is like, okay, what does this look like in your classroom? And the idea is for it to be practical. And we were thinking, it might make sense to even do it on a semester basis, because if we send a 5-page document to teachers, then it becomes, cumbersome. And so this is something where we're trying to say, okay, like, the idea of demographic data, what are some of the things that we notice, and that we're seeing trends of, looking at attendance data and things of that nature, even though attendance data in itself isn't going to be able to paint the full picture. But, just trying to pull from the data points that we do have, as well as some of the things that the district has moved towards. I'll use an example because it's something that was talked about a lot here. So in regards to Ramadan and into Eid. And so, okay, what does this look like for students? What does this look like for you as a teacher? So that's the idea of that. And it's, just a quick guide that's as practical as possible.
Mr. Laster?
In addition to what Matt said, I would just say that I think it would be helpful. First of all, welcome all new members. I'm excited to get to know all of you and work with you and welcome your kids to the middle school. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, I think if you look at each building's equity action plans, which we need to get to you, you will see the short-term, midterm, and long-term goals of the curriculum changes that we're seeking. So in terms of teaching kids about Indigenous peoples versus Columbus Day, I think those changes in terms of curriculum changes are going to come in the midterm goals that each of our buildings have. So I think all of our new members, once you digest those action plans, we should sort of process your questions and things associated with that, because each building has worked, for the last 10 months on creating an action plan for short term, midterm, and long term, which realistically is going to take 3 to 7 years. So I think our new members need to take a look at that stuff and then ask questions, poke holes in it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm off base, but
Elizabeth.
That just reminds me that we had students from the Muslim Student Association this year, suggesting that we should have Eid as a holiday. And I just wanted to, bring that up and ask if it's going to continue to be considered, or what's the status of that? I know that, we have, is it 3 Christian holidays? We have Christmas, Easter, and Good Friday. I don't know if I'm missing any, but we have 0 Muslim holidays. So I don't know, I just, my suggestion would be to, and I've made this suggestion before, take away one of the Christian ones, because why do we get all of them? Or we could take away Good Friday. I know that we're kind of at a log jam we don't have any additional ones that we can have. So maybe Christians giving up one of their holidays could be a very Christian gesture of sharing and caring.
I can jump in here. Elizabeth and all, we do have Eid built in as a holiday in the school year calendar for next year.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, that's amazing. Excellent. How did you do that? It was already a holiday, you said.
Yes, it's all set. A lot of it had to do with some, honestly, the good fortune of where the dates lined up so we could get our 180 days in. But it is built in. I won't speak for the board, but and I'll let board members jump in here, but I think there is a commitment for continuing to include it. Our legislators are also building more holidays into the calendar. So I understand there's a proposal on the governor's desk to include the Lunar New Year, which is all wonderful. My hunch, however, not to break terrible news here, is that somewhere down the line, this might have an impact on the February break. So you heard it here first. It's not going to happen next year or even the year after, but I do think that's probably the likely area that will see a change down the road.
I think that's great. That's amazing.
All right. If there are no other comments regarding communications, I'll move on to community engagement. Would like to report out?
I can take it. All right. So everyone's going to notice a theme emerged across the different committees for this month. Really, it was being future minded and thinking about, okay, goals moving forward. So just in regards to the meeting on June 1st, I will share some information about how our last fireside chat went. And some of the plans for that moving forward, that really is going to be one of the focal points. A consistent thing that we want to do and keep is making sure that we are having consistent membership at as many of the PTAs as possible. And for those of you who are new to the committee, I'll just give a structural piece very, very quickly because this is important for the engagement subcommittee, really for all of them. Membership on this is board appointed, but for the subcommittees, even for folks who are cycling off, and just for if you have a friend who's interested and is like, hey, I want to be a part of this work, but maybe wasn't on this, they are more than welcome to be a member of some of our subcommittees. And this will be really important because one of the things the engagement subcommittee works to do is have a member who lives in each of the different catchments attend the PTA meetings kind of as an informal rep. And we even have a letter that we've worked out so people will give it and introduce themselves to the PTA as such. And this is something that will help with just another line of communication, and it's another way where we want to make sure the community knows what's going on, and also to be able to bring questions back and concerns that we're hearing from the community. This also leads into one of the big things that we got off the ground this year, and that the committee is looking to move forward with. So fireside chats. And the idea behind the fireside chats, they're public meetings that are held in a community neutral space. So they're not held in our buildings, and that's intentional and it's by design. They're held in the public library. And we've alternated this year between times such like there'd be one in the daytime, and the next month would be in the evening, to try to make it as accessible to the widest range of families possible. And one of the goals for next year is to, rather than alternate, just to do both each time, with a specific consideration made towards what would it look like to have a virtual option as well. The committee was generally in agreement about the idea that a hybrid one doesn't make that much sense, because what ends up happening when it's hybrid is the folks who are virtual end up getting left out, and you have 8 people packed onto one screen, and then really the conversation stays dominant for the people in the room, at least with something like this. So we've also talked about the idea of doing a virtual only option just for folks who aren't able to make it to the library. But we've just received a lot of positive feedback from folks, and they do seem to be getting a lot of steam, a lot of traction. And there was a solid number of community members who were able to come to the last one. And some of the advocacy, some of the questions about district work emerged, and that I've seen be a successful tool for, just reaching out to the community. One of the goals with it is to make sure that we are doing as good of a job and as complete of a job advertising them, though, to make sure that folks are able to know when they're happening, where they're happening. And so that's also something where even if you're not on the engagement subcommittee, we will always, we've always shared the dates of them. So everyone in this group will have them. So please share them in your circles as well. It could be a quick social media post. It could be, just being able to respond if someone asks when it is. That's just going to be helpful for building those community partnerships. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
And they're just kind of free flowing discussions with they don't have any topic or theme or anything. People can just come and they can talk about whatever they want to and ask anything, or, bring some experience that they want to discuss, or whatever. So there's no theme, and it's 1 hour. Is that right, Matt? 1 hour each time?
Yes, they've been 1 hour. They've tended to run a little bit over just because of people's interest, not because no one's a captive audience, but people just have a lot to share and say, and in the flow of conversation, it's I'll just say there hasn't been one where we're awkwardly sitting there with 15 minutes to go. That hasn't happened.
Nina?
Hi. So first of all, welcome to everybody. Everyone sounds incredible. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone here. I just want to ask a question about one way of reaching out to the community. I know that there's a Guilderland Twitter account, things like that the school district uses. Have we ever considered like a DEI Twitter or another way of getting out the message through our own social media platforms?
I don't know if folks want to answer, and then we'll get to Beth.
Yeah, sure. I can address that part very quickly before you go, Beth, unless it's along the same topic. So yes, the communication team, we've spoken with them too. And so the district has posted in a lot of different forums. And to your point about our own social media, that was something actually when I started in this role, I had a similar idea, but we wanted to be intentional, and rather than creating a separate one for DEI, for post related, we just use the schools ones, because then that way it's doesn't seem like it's a niche thing, and it's this is the entire district thing. So just to give it a little bit more weight and use the existing following that exists, that those different platforms have. But it is social media, and like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are huge forums, and I can just say that like PTA presidents have been members of this committee, but also have gotten involved in subcommittee work. And even just through the partnerships where we have members going, they've used their social media platforms to advertise those things too. So that's absolutely a spot on, way to try to reach as many people as possible. Thank you.
Beth? Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, so I put in the chat, but I was also wondering, I know like we have that messaging system that we use like for snow days or when there's a bus accident or there's a delay. Like, is that something that you could send out if people have signed up and have their phones connected, that you could just send out a quick message saying like tonight, fireside chat, like, and everybody in the district who's enrolled in that would get that?
I'll jump in here. And again, I guess I'm giving a lot of news flashes tonight because we are transitioning away from the school messenger platform that you've all come to know and love to a new platform called Parent Square, which is kind of a one-stop shopping communications tool that we will use across the board, district level, building level, classroom level, that is based off an app on your phone and that automatically translates messages into over 100 different languages. It's very user-friendly. We're currently working on the transition that'll happen over the summer. We just sent a message out to all of our staff today to say, this is coming. We'll be doing the same for our families sometime in July when we're ready to roll. But it's a user-friendly tool that will allow for a greater ease in that kind of communication. Because what you've just described, Beth, everything like that has to go through our communications office. So it gets to be a heavy lift to funnel all things through essentially two people, or not even two people. So anyway, it's going to be, I think, a really good tool for us going forward.
Nina, I saw your hand. No? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And loving all the news flashes. You heard it here first, DI committee. We bring you all the good news. So research, if anybody wants to share from the research.
I think I was just sensing that. I was just eager.
There we go, Nina.
On the jump right there.
You're on.
So, okay, that's me. So research speaks for itself, right? And in order to truly do a good comparative analysis to basically determine how the school district wanted to conduct our committee, we turned to local and then broadened that to statewide DEI committees. And we had the fortune on our subcommittee of school psychologist, and he helped to basically he's a member of NIAS, which is the New York Association for School Psychologists, and he helped to put this out to everyone in the state. And the idea being that there's basically this electronic survey Google form that went out to all these different school psychologists and asked them what they use as their methods or what they feel is their priorities for DEI. So for example, are there subcommittees? How do they reach out to families? Those types of things. So we are very close to looking at that data. And that information is going to be analyzed for us by NIASP, which is wonderful, and we'll be able to use that feedback as soon as it's available. And that information, to kind of piggyback on what the community committee is also talking about, which is the calendar that Matt and Rebecca spoke on. So that calendar that is going to help to create this common guide for teachers will be enhanced by the data that we're able to collect from these surveys. So basically, we look at this year as kind of part one by accruing all the data, and then that aggregate data that's going to be analyzed will be then categorized by people who are, trained research analysis, and then that will be used to help us as we create this or help to collaborate on this guide, which is the goal for teachers, so that teachers can then, like Beth, what you were asking, like curtail their lessons to what we need to be cognizant of with our student body. So in a way, like I feel like it's a nice connection to the other committees because it can help to give that information directly that we can get from other schools. if that makes sense. The other thing we did was we're talking about other future goals for next year. So we looked in some possible resources because there's a learning component also involved in the committee. And do we want to go, the book way again, or do we want to have individual resources that are specific to whatever topic we want to focus on? I'm hearing a lot of the new committee members work with healthcare, and there's so much DEI podcasts and other resources that focus on that. I think that's wonderful because your expertise will be certainly helpful as we look at that. But just also implicit bias and any other areas that we feel the district can use or can benefit from. So the last piece that we looked at is how else can we improve how Guilderland does DEI? And again, maybe other school districts doing things like guest speakers, bringing in authors, presentations. So basically, we're just kind of trying to, in the background, figure out what gaps that we have as a school district for our DEI committee can we fill in by comparing other districts, because there's some things we do really well and there's other things that we can improve on. So, questions?
I think that's great, Nina, because a lot of the commentary, I was at the last fireside chat, and there was a robust conversation on professional development and just engagement on that level. So the fact that the research committee is thinking about that is really encouraging, how we can fill those gaps. Mr. Laster.
Perhaps a dialogue with the district's professional development committee that sets the course of stuff that happens over the course of the school year might be beneficial. I know personally, I'm interested at the middle level, meeting with anybody on this screen who can help come to CI sessions once a month to lead 60-minute dialogue and professional development sessions with middle school staff members. But I also know my other colleagues in the principals would also be interested in talking about that. So I think that's something that we need to pursue.
Agreed. All right, I'm gonna move on just because I'm looking at time to student voice.
I can take it.
Thanks, Maxine.
So like the theme I feel like for these last few meetings is like reflections and goals. So we spent a lot of our meeting time reflecting on the 3rd annual anti-hate rally that took place this year. The rally went really well. Amazing student speakers, amazing club presentations, great activities. We talked about possibly changing like the time that we do it. We usually do it right before Memorial Day. So we want to make sure that the event is like more accessible, because with Memorial Day, people are like going on vacation and leaving early. We had the great privilege of having the middle schoolers there. There was a bus down that came from the middle school to the high school. So something that we want to work on is middle school outreach. We had a middle schooler in our meeting, and they made it clear to us that like there were a lot of people who were like unsure of what the event was, who thought they were entering like a high school space and like weren't sure about what it was. So something that we want to focus on next year is like sending down student voice representatives to the middle school to tell like kids there that like it's welcome to everyone, and it's not that they can come, it's that we really want them there. So our goals for next year are, we want to make sure that we keep students involved in DEI and make sure that this committee is more accessible. Again, I think students think this is like an adult space or unapproachable, and we want to make it more accessible for them. We want to have more students on subcommittees, not only on the student voice subcommittee, but also like working with other subcommittees. And we want to make sure that not only for students, but that we tell that
we tell like community members, teachers, students that no matter what, they can be involved in subcommittee work, because while this is you need to apply for, the subcommittees are open to anyone. So we were really happy with how this year went, and next year it's going to be just even better.
Thank you so much, Maxine. Nina, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say those are wonderful things, and I love the idea of bringing students in. I know Mr. Laster had with the art club helped out with the fireside chats and the kids making the posters, and that's an immediate draw. You know, just seeing like kids' hands and things, it's really refreshing. So I love that idea.
Elizabeth?
I love the idea that we talked about before about the video, sort of recapping what we've done, and maybe we could even think about having 2 videos if we wanted to. One recapping what we have done, and the other one looking forward to what we want to do. So it could be, about the fireside chats and about more kids on different committees and more kids from middle school coming to the anti-hate rally. What is the anti-hate rally and stuff like that. So keeping them short, maybe we could have 2 separate videos, it's just an idea.
Mr. Laster?
I like that idea, Elizabeth, just because we have a champion who's leaving us, Maxine, and I'd like to capture her before she leaves us, all the work that she's done at the high school. Maxine, I can't express how proud I am of you and the work that you've done over the course of the, I don't know, last 6 years, 5 years. So I like that idea, Liz, about capturing the work that we've done, but also the future, because we also have a brand new mix here that we could totally highlight. So sorry, I just was getting a little sentimental.
No, I'm over here like also wanting to sing her praises and holding back. But I will move on to D&I in action, because I think that, Matt, you're going to go over a little bit about the rally. So I'll let you kick it off.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to give a little bit of an overview this time of some of the stuff that we've seen kind of district-wide. So typically, especially for new members, what this segment has been, it's a look at what are things that have happened over the past month. We typically look at across the 3 different levels. So it may not be each specific building being hit, but it's what are the types of things that have happened. And it's a spotlight of some of them, because as we know, there are things that happen all the time, but we're not going to be able to hit every single one of them. And so this is just a time to, say, hey, this is what DEI actually looks like in practice. So I will start, just because we were already talking about it a little bit, with the anti-hate rally. And I do want to say, when we had met last month, the rally was like 4 days away. And it was still something that was looming, and there was some concern on the part of students, are we gonna have enough engagement, or is this something where our message is still gonna be heard? And I've said this before, and I just feel like it's not possible to give enough praise and admiration for the students for how much work they do. And like, I just want it to be very real to all of you, how much work goes into what they do. So like, it's not just, oh, this sounds nice that there's this event, and like, oh, that's great that we give our students this platform. No, it's not just that we give students a platform. I think really the core of it is that students have taken a platform. They've created a space. And, while we're on the topic of single out praise for Maxine, like, I mean, even like the week before the rally, she was at school with me till 7 p.m. on Friday. So I just want to say, like, this is something where for these students, they go through a full, day. Many of them also went through APs, different tests, finals, projects, whether they were in AP classes or not. So, and then we're after school 3, 4, 5 hours, doing work, preparing. Everyone who gave a speech, they met with me like 3-4 times. So like this was something where it was a very long commitment for everyone who was involved in the process, even if it wasn't after school. This was kids getting up their study hall time. Some kids were like, hey, we'll meet during lunch. So I just want to say that for all the students involved, it's a culmination not just of like a week's work, but of a year's worth of work. And it is absolutely a work of art, but it is also truly just a work of heart. And so I think that it's important to see that like this is one of the ways where our students have shined, but there's also so many other different things that they've done. But that's just one central piece that, you know, we can look at and point to. And you know, the creativity, the and redesigning things and making sure that everything feels live and tangible. One of the things that I really loved, and I heard this from a number of students who were there, a number of community members, some of you actually who were there as well, that, you know, it really seemed like there was a range of different things that were discussed. So it didn't feel like it was a single issue rally. It felt very much, Rashini, something that you said, to try to bring, and this was your speech anyways, I'm just, you know, throw some flowers to you too, that it was about unifying groups and saying we need to work together towards this common goal and that we can't be siloed. So just all the praise for students there. One of the other things that was able to happen, Chris, if you would like to, you know, interject and speak to this as well. Students were, we had some students who marched in the Pride Parade, which was just fantastic. And this is something that a couple of our own board members had been advocating for pretty strongly throughout the year. And so it's really fantastic to see this. And one of the things that I think FMS has always done well, you know, since I've been at least here, so this is from my lens, has been just really dedicating creating space for students during Pride Month, and really just making that like a time when it's student voices and student accessibility and student driven, and that obviously continued this year. So I think that that is something that really is a good baseline even just for the rest of the district in terms of like, yes, students are finding themselves and able to have a space to be able to say, okay, in this pivotal where middle school is tough for everyone, finding who you are, especially, you know, if you are a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, you know, there's additional layers and additional stressors and pressures. And I feel that, you know, while we are never going to be perfect, there is definitely a lot of support to try to make that happen. And, you know, flowers for Chris as well, being an advisor in Alliance and making that space safe. Safe spaces aren't safe just because we say they are. They're things that are created. So I just want to just give acknowledgement that that's an active process. At the elementary level, I'll share, and I'll give a shout out to Pine Bush real quick with this. So one of my recent joys was I'm getting to spend some time really with the 5th grade class as a whole. And this was across a number of different days. Really what so in exploring some character-ed stuff, but also really just looking at prep in terms of what it means to be a middle schooler and what that's going to look like, and how to approach the changes that are happening in their lives. I think that it's been a fantastic time, and that felt like such a strong culmination in the year. And obviously I had to intersperse some of my nonsense. For those of you who see me, I drink a lot of water. I ended up telling them I was branded, that I have a sponsorship by like Price Shoppers Water Company, and my jokes went way too far, and the kids were like, can you bring in water? So I ended up getting like 5 cases of water one day. So just know that if you decide to tell kids fantasy stories about you being sponsored, because companies now sponsor DEI directors, just know you'll have to follow through. And I love kids holding us to the task. But really what I've seen in our elementary buildings, particularly over the past month, so many different staff members have reached out and have mentioned about things that they did, like with Juneteenth. And I'm going to highlight that just because that was something that was this week. And the amount of people who proactively did things, and you know, even had family members share back. I had a Westmere teacher share with me that they were able to do something with Juneteenth in their class, and their parent, who had been an immigrant from an African country, they learned about Juneteenth through that experience and through their child. And I think that it's just so incredible to see our students' capacity for love and kindness. And when we think about the foundation of DEI work, it doesn't start at the middle level or the high school level. Truly, it does start at the elementary level, and there are so many incredible staff members, teachers, and people in other roles as well who guide that work. So it's been a full month, and this is all in the backdrop of the last month of the school year that these things I'm talking about are. So when people are at their most tired, when people are at the most stretched thin, folks are still in the day-to-day and the hardest moments doing the good work that needs to happen, setting the stage for next year. So just, I want to say thank you to everyone for that. Now, I'm going to use this, and I'll just go straight because the next agenda item is me as well. So I'll just talk straight into it. And I've been thinking, okay, go ahead, Emma. Yeah.
I just have a question connecting to what Maxine said and what you said, Matt.
Sure.
I know that this prior week, the fifth graders went to the friendship games at GES, and I was curious if we had been thinking about how we can start teaching our fifth graders about diversity and what they will start to be able to do in the middle school, like clubs about diversity and how they can get involved, but also like showing, like telling them about the anti-hate rally. Like I haven't really heard much about it in elementary level, and I would have loved to know more about it and kind of known like what the activities were and what was going to be offered. And I was wondering if we thought that maybe like fifth grade would also be a good group of students to encourage to attend that event and just kind of get them invested and get them involved before they get to middle school, or just aware of what's going on before they get to middle school.
That's a really solid point. I am taking a second to think about it, only because some of the things that some of the older students will talk about, it's very candid expressions of sometimes even like trauma that they've experienced through the school system or otherwise just in life. And I think fifth grade, there's space for that, but it would be tough. Like I wouldn't necessarily want to like bust over a lot of like the youngest students. Although in fairness, people in the community do bring their young children. So it's not as if there aren't children there anyways. So I think that is absolutely a possibility, and it's something worth exploring. So yeah, that's definitely something that I think is worth diving into. Go ahead, Beth.
So I'm just thinking out loud here, but what if the elementary schools were able to do their own thing? Maybe not in the same capacity, but students K through 5 experience their own forms of bias as well. And there are incidents that happen to children, K through 5. So if that's something that they're learning about throughout their educational career in terms of bias and bullying and how that presents, like you could do something similar for them to have a space to express maybe things that they face and overcoming that. It's just maybe something to think about to be appropriate at their level, doing something at the elementary level.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think that's a totally reasonable suggestion. So thank you. Suzanne?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on Beth's comment. I think that hearing how K-5 students articulate what experiences they're having, I think is valuable. I hear your caution, Matt, about that interpreting, students who are developmentally for, older, right? And what they're experiencing, that could be an opportunity for confusion, which we wouldn't want to do. But I love the idea of allowing, instead of always taking kind of like the adultist view, right? But actually looking at, listening to what K-5 students, what they are experiencing. And I'll just pull from my own life, like the idea of, family form, right? So how students perceive their family form and how they fit in a school based on what the shape and size of their family is, how many adults, what they, their gender, race, etc. Right? So I think that's something that's worth pursuing. The idea of including the K-5 voice, right? Instead of us putting it on them. I'm going to stop talking now.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I can say very, very strongly that elevating student voices is something, in my experience, everyone on this committee is totally on board with. It's something that the district is totally on board with. And the thing that I want to also harp on is a point that both you and Beth articulated. It's not about like adultifying students' thoughts. So the way that like I word it for high school stuff is it's about amplifying the voice, not augmenting it. So I think, it's just important to make sure that, for, K-5 students, that it's not an adult driven thing in terms of like, okay, here's what your message is and here's what it's going to be. Because I don't mean to sound too blunt with this, but we don't want to make it something where it's okay, hey, students are feeling pressured and like you need to do X, Y, and Z. We want students to have a platform and we want to make sure that there's space for them to be able to do that. And I think that that is something that's 100% worth creating. And that's something in my mind that, we can definitely, put on the student voice, agenda, even looking into next year. Okay, so that's something where the student voice community can definitely explore some of these things in more depth and say, how do we want to amplify that? Yeah, and Maxine's spot on. It is like middle school and elementary experiences have come up every year. So that's where it's like, it's not as if those things don't exist, it's a K-12 continuum. Suzanne, and then,
Sorry, I didn't mean to imply that you were being adultist, Matt. I was just trying to turn the lens, right? So thank you.
No problem. I didn't take it that way at all. I was agreeing with you. I was saying that that's super important to make sure we don't go that way. I totally agree. I took no offense to it. Thank you. Thank you, though. All right. So Nina, and then Beth, and then Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, I just to echo some of those same concerns. I think that to have students facilitate or lead this, I mean, definitely would take a lot of training by the faculty perspective as well to be able to help them to do that. Because, and I could be mistaken, but I don't believe there's a rally at the middle school level. I think that's why we bus the kids to the high school, because developmentally that's something that would be tricky, not only because empowering the kids to feel strong to do that at that age group. They do run into the concern of their peers and those fears that would coincide at the middle school level. Maybe elementary school doesn't have that as much, but I think that by the time they get towards 5th grade, they do start to develop a lot of that developmental comparative thing, where they're worried about what their friends will think. And I think that might prevent them from being able to speak. And I would, the last thing I would want to see happen was that if we did try that it would, and backfire is not the right term, but that it would be counterproductive to what we're trying to do. So it would require, I think, a lot of training on the district or the staff to be able to learn how to do that in such a way that would help the students be supportive of one another to get up there and speak, because the kids that do that at the high school have a tremendous amount of courage. And by the time they've reached that level in their development, they feel confident enough to be able to do it, regardless of how they're going to be perceived. And that's something that takes a lot of guts. And my only concern is we'd have to tread very carefully, even if it is going to be student run. I don't know how many students would have that capacity, not only in the intellect of it, but also the social emotional development piece.
Yeah. Thank you. It seems like you sparked a lot of ideas, Nina. So thank you. Let me see if I remember the order. So I believe
I think I'm up next. So I feel a little awkward plugging a program that I run, but I know Guilderland Elementary School is doing No Place for Hate, and I know the high school used to do No Place for Hate, and that's a program that's run through our office at ADL, and we have 100 schools in the capital region doing it. One thing about No Place for Hate is it is student driven. So you form a committee that has educators, students, parents, faculty members, and then you design activities throughout the school year to amplify what the students feel like each school needs to work on. So, we see all the time that there are definitely students within the K through 5 space that are wanting an outlet to express things that are happening to them, wanting a way to make change happen at their school. So I would hate to just kind of disclude that there are students ready for that. Like for example, this year we had a couple of award winners from a couple of schools in Albany. One who was a trans student in elementary school, one who was a person of color in a middle school, and they both were doing activist work in their schools at a young age, and they won our Gold Star Student Awards this year. So I just think that there are students that are looking for that outlet, and maybe it's not the same thing, but maybe it's finding some way to be able to engage the students to have those conversations. And I would, as a parent, I would really love to see the district adopt this program, K-12, so that's a universal message. But I mean, that's just my 2 cents. So I just want to kind of put that out there for parents who aren't familiar with the program.
Thank you very much. Tamika and then Shaka.
Yeah, so some ideas that were coming to mind, and just an acknowledgement that, throughout the school year for Pine Bush Elementary, at least, I was receiving notifications to be able to participate in the Positivity Project, which also builds on character strength for our youth. And so perhaps, building on a platform like that, and we live in an age of technology. If there is a, no hate, no place for hate walk, or whatever, event that we're having at the high school, webcasting is also an option, and or a pre-recorded session where we can have the discussion with our younger students and show them clips of what our older students are currently engaged and involved in, to try to open up the discussion and make sure that they're aware, and also build character about everyday issues, because they're going to either hear it on the bus or come home and hear it or see it on the news, which is unfortunately something that we've had to discuss with our children all of 2020, 2021, 2022, throughout the pandemic, the George Floyd, the things that are going on in the school district, happening at the schools, things that you see on Facebook, or things that our kids just experience point blank on the bus every day. All 3 of my children have experienced something unfortunate where we've had to sit down and talk to them. And so I really appreciated the Positivity Project. And, this is something to consider, where if we want to be more inclusive, then we start, tapping into the technology that we have on hand.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Shaka, and then Elizabeth, and then Nina.
Well, these two have said a lot of what I was going to say already. So we can make it shorter. But I was just thinking about and wanted to make sure that it was said that definitely children as early as infancy start to notice difference, and, especially like physical difference, racial differences and things like that. And I've been dealing with children from birth to 18 for I don't know how long. And there are various developmental levels for all of our kids. And I think definitely if we exclude some of the elementary kids that might, flourish and be our future leaders in this work, we'd be doing a disservice to them and the school community as well. So I definitely am on board with all of the ideas that everybody came up with today. I would love to see something at the elementary level. It's something that I'm working on at work now, all the way from infants all the way up to school age, looking at ways to just improve what they're doing. And of course, it has to be developmentally appropriate, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Elizabeth, then Nina, and then Blanca.
I went recently to the ENL extravaganza at the high school, and it was really great. One of the things that was great about it was that they had all kinds of artwork and poems and stuff on the wall that kids had written and drawn. And there were some really great poems there. And that could be a way for elementary school students to express some of the things that they've experienced, like by voluntarily, if they wanted to draw something or write something. It could be put on the walls of the school. It could be made into a book that could be shared with the community somehow, posted online or whatever. So that's one way that, to make it voluntary and to have it be sort of creative, something that you create, rather than public speaking, which could be a lot for little kids. Just one idea.
Thank you. And that does give a springboard just to something that Emma put in the chat just before we go to, if you don't mind, Emma, I'll just give voice to it. I'll just read it out loud. The reason I suggested the friends, I being Emma, suggested the friendship games, and for those who don't know what it is because it included all of the elementary school fifth graders and everyone was included. I don't think that the anti-hate rally would necessarily be the best choice, but more than that, I think there could be something we can do to get our elementary students involved in, as well as in an appropriate way, especially for our fifth graders to have a platform, as Noah said beautifully, to amplify their voice. That said, we have Nina and then Blanc. If you still did want to say something, please feel free to.
Hi, yeah, and I was just going to echo that. I mean, I 100% believe there's many ways we can bring in training from young age groups. I was just saying that a full anti-hate rally at the elementary school level would need a lot of scaffolding and training to do that. But no, 100%, I believe that there needs to be lots of all types of training and activities that kids at all age groups need to be part of. So I appreciate that being said, because I echo that as well. And I think that would be the segue into the higher level. There's many ways that we can bring that in at the younger age group and should be doing that.
So just as the arbiter of time, Matt, I'm just going to say that Maxine has the last word before we move on.
Perfect. Thank you. So Blanca and then Maxine.
Okay, well, Tibisay stole my thunder. I was just going to say these are all fabulous ideas and what a great conversation we're having. But perhaps we should table some of them because we do have other things that we need to discuss. I think Matt may have something important to say as well.
Thank you. Maxine?
I just want to quickly say, like, I'm really amazed by, like, all the ambition and, like, great ideas. But just to put into perspective, especially for the anti-hate rally, it's run by a group of teenagers. Most of us have our own cars, and most of us are have been doing this work for a long time. Most of us are supported by our parents when we do this. So, like, these plans will take a long time. I think that's something I learned well in this committee is like things take time. Like I obviously want all these things to happen immediately, but it's just not always realistic. So I think that like finding age appropriate things for like the different groups is super important, and it will be like a really great thing for like a lot of the different subcommittees and like the people on this committee, because I won't be here next year, but like the new people here to like work on.
Thank you very much, Maxine. I appreciate you saying that. And that actually does lead very well into what I want to share with everyone and kind of what Blanca alluded to. So it's super exciting seeing and hearing the amount of energy that exists surrounding this work right now and how fired up particularly new members of the community are for this. That's the ideal. That's what we want. However, unfortunately, I don't even know how to bring this up, especially given the tone and tenor of that last discussion. But it's important for me to tell all of you that unfortunately I won't be here next year. So you know, I do appreciate very much the zeal and the push behind things, but my time in Gildron is coming to a close. But certainly, if nothing else, that discussion illustrates that the work itself is not remotely close to coming to a close. And for folks who are just curious, it's not that my work in the space of DEI is coming to close. I'm going to be doing this work. I'm going to continue to do that, but just in a different capacity. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on the committee for the work that you've put in kind of relentlessly. Started as a member of the engagement subcommittee, and you know, I've been in this capacity the past 2 years. And so I just wanted to say thank you for the work you put in, the energy, the effort, the late night meetings, the subcommittees, you know, just coming to that time and time again, carving out time of your day to support student work that's been happening. And one thing that makes me feel so happy as I've been incredibly just reflective over the past couple days and weeks is the fact that we haven't gotten despondent. And from the beginnings of this committee and seeing how it started to where we are now, it is such a hope-filled environment. It is such a powerful environment in terms of advocacy and efforts and a belief that we can and must do better. And the fact that we don't settle and won't settle is something that I hope that this committee never loses. So it has truly been an honor and a privilege for me to work alongside all of you. And so just thank you for listening to and enduring my absolute garbage jokes. Thank you for allowing me to volunteer you for things, whether it's facilitating this meeting right now or anything of that nature. But I'm just grateful. So thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you.
You are an incredible leader, and I'm excited to continue to follow your career and stalk you wherever you go, Matt. So thank you for just bringing hope and being a fresh air in this community. I just can't say enough how much you will be missed. I saw Nina and then Blanca, but then Nina, you put your hand down, so I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't want to take a time. I just want to say thank you. You're incredible, and we're gonna be missed. And I say again, same thing. No, just please continue to check in with us. We'll be following you for sure.
Blanca?
I just wanted to say thank you and reassure you that you have left us with an unbelievable start. You've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, and it's been a true pleasure. So thank you, and we are all super happy for you and proud to know you.
All right. Well, our last agenda item. Well, Mr. Laster, go ahead.
So Matt, I first met you at Siena at a what is it, Phi Delta Kappa thing, right? Remember? And I told you you needed to become a teacher at Gilderland, and then you did that, and then you rose to become a leader in DEI, and now you're leading us, and you're going to become a leader in DEI in the state. I can't wait to vote for you as an elected official. Your path is huge, brother. I miss you. You're going to be great. Congratulations.
Okay, Matt, so you have to tell us, what are you doing? What is the next step?
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, I leave out details, but thank you. And just real quick to what Mr. Lasher said, that's true. We've known each other now for almost 10 years because of that, and he's a big reason why I did end up coming to Gilderland in the first place. I saw his passion, the way he talked about the district, and he said that to me. He's like, no, we need you to work in Gilderland. And so 3 years after that point, I started working here. So what I'm going to be doing is going, as was alluded, not by me, but I'm going to be working at the state level doing this. So I was offered to take a position. I'll be I don't want to mess up the title of it, but like Deputy Managing Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And so I'll be working with the team to try to help shape policies both in the public sector, but then also thinking about some of the private sector partnerships that we have. I'll be centralized in the teacher retirement system, but I'll also be working just with counterparts across different state agencies. So this is something where, to me, it feels like an incredible opportunity to be able to challenge some of the systemic barriers that 5-year-old Matt experienced and lived through. And my hope is that through this work, it's going to still be able to impact students while they're in school, but also be able to potentially shape the world that they live in once they leave school. Yes.
Tibisai, if I could just jump in, I certainly want to echo everything everyone has said about Matt. Maybe more so than anyone on the screen. I've been able to work with him ever so closely. We meet regularly every Wednesday at noonish. He's always late. But really to think about the difference he's made in our community around DEI, I am beyond proud of him. I am sad for us, but ultimately, Guilderland is a learning organization, and we want everyone who's part of this organization to fulfill their best self and their biggest dreams. And so how could we be anything other than happy for Matt and proud of him and ready to wish him the best of luck? But I don't even think he needs luck. I think he's got the goods. But I did want to let the group know that we are so committed to this work. We accepted with regrets Matt's resignation at the last board meeting, and we posted the position the very next day because we don't want to lose any time or momentum in this very important work. So I just thought it would be important for everyone on this call and everyone who's watching to know that we wasted no time. We're also in the process of hiring a teacher on special assignment to assist with this work because we know there's just so much to it, and it's hard for one person to, do everything that has to be done in 7 buildings and so on. So incredibly proud of Matthew, and looking forward to what happens next for him, but also what happens next for us.
All right. Well, our final agenda item tonight is recognition and appreciation for our outgoing members, which I happen to be one. Very sad that this is my last meeting, but definitely not my last engagement. Definitely want to continue to serve on some subcommittees. But yeah, I didn't know what kind of recognition. I'm not doing the recognition. I'm leaving.
Well, Matt, I start, and Matt, I'll let you have the last word because it's your last meeting as well. But we have several members who have fulfilled a full term on this committee, which was actually 3 years. We're about to begin our 4th year of this formal work on the committee, which doesn't seem possible that we're already at the 4-year mark. But Elizabeth, Savannah, Maxine, Mirzad, Lewis, Tibisai, and Amy are all fulfilling the end of their first term, which doesn't mean they can't apply again after a year, and certainly doesn't mean that they can't continue their work with the subcommittee. But I do want to say how much of a difference each of those individuals have made and how far we have come since that first, dare I say, awkward meeting 4 years ago. So on behalf of the district, I would just want to thank all of you for your time and your passion and your commitment and your work. It has made a real difference. Mr. Pinchinette, do you want to jump in before we turn to Maxine?
Yes. I want to echo Dr. Wiles' sentiments that this work, it's been powerful and it's been present because of you. And all of you have been champions in this work. And if there's one thing that has been made readily and repeatedly clear to me, is that one person can't do everything. And so the work that you have done in this committee has been invaluable. And I am happy knowing that this is work that is your life's work, not just work that you were doing. No one was doing this as just a way to check a box or like a resume stuffer and patter. And so it just means a lot that that you've given your time, and really even with that full term moment, that it's been an extended year that you decided to go that extra mile. And so I'm certainly hopeful that you'll engage in subcommittee work. There's plenty of work to be done, as you know better than anyone else. And so we're grateful for you and everything that you've poured into things. Thank you.
Maxine?
I just want to make sure that I say thank you to everyone. I started this committee as a sophomore during the depths of the pandemic, and I cannot say how much I've learned from this committee and how much this committee has impacted me, and not only my activism, but just as a person. I've just learned so much from everyone here, getting to interact with amazing teachers, community members. And while I won't be staying involved with this work here. Next year, I will be going to Colgate University. I plan on majoring in anthropology on a pre-med track. I will definitely plan to stay continued in work like this. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. This has been such like a formative experience, and I'm so glad that like I was given this opportunity.
I wanted to say to all the new members, everyone's just experienced. I know a few of you from different places, so it's nice to see you here in this space. But just be ready, because students watch these videos and they know who we are, and they know the passion and the work, and they're inspired by the things that they see in this committee. And I was shocked when I went to the anti-hate rally and some of the kids came up to me and said, "Oh, you're on the DEI committee. Oh, you say stuff that is really great." And I happen to have my daughter with me. And, you know, for a kid to say to my daughter, not to get emotional, "You have a really great mom." And her saying like, "Yeah, my mom kicks butt." That meant the world to me. So just know that this work just ricochets to so many people, and I'm just so unbelievably proud to have been a part of the inaugural, and to continue to work in the school district, because this is the first time in this committee was when I felt like I was at home in Guilderland. So thank you for that. And Mary will hunt me down if I don't continue to be on the community engagement committee. So I know I got it. All right, folks, at 8:30 on the dot, I'm proud of myself. We made it. I would like to ask for two folks to adjourn our meeting. Blanca, I don't know if you're saying that you're raising your hand to yes to adjourn, or you want to say something.
No, it was my motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn from Blanca, and I see Noah as well. So thank you all. I'm just encouraged, and please reach out to me and reach out to everyone in the committee, and just lots of love. Just sending you lots of love and lots of luck. You won't need it, but everyone's going to be great.
Congrats, Maxine and Matt.
Good.
Thanks.
Nice
meeting everyone.
Congrats.
Have a great rest
Congratulations,
of the
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.